I don't even care if we come back again. And as long as the stars are shining above us, then I just wanna be where you are.
Welcome to day 18, and it's all about copying a master today. Now, that sounds pretty full on for one day, but it needn't be. We can do this. The goal of copying a master is threefold. The first goal is to get to grips with the aesthetics. The second goal is to learn about how they used colour, edges, value, design and composition. And the third goal is accuracy. And it's least important because when you're creating an active study of somebody else's work, you're doing it mostly to learn. And if you set yourself the goal of getting as near as to it, that means you can read a painting and break it down into logical steps. So I've done this quite a lot, and I've either followed YouTube instructional videos or I've been away to places like Norfolk Painting School, where the focus has been simply on concentrating on how the masters achieved what they wanted to achieve. So you can see behind me I've got an active study of one of the Glasgow boys' paintings. George Henry was part of a group that were collectively known as the Glasgow Boys. They were a bit disillusioned with the traditional academic painting of the day, and they would take themselves out and paint directly onto canvas. And very often it would be contemporary rural subjects. And what I learnt from my active study of this one was all about design, brush management, value and composition. And then another artist I really like, Gustav Klimt, really beautiful, luxurious portraits. In here I've found lots of images I love, taking the learning of pattern repetition and composition and design. I then used those rules, and rather than directly copying, I went on to create something of that style of my own. So there's two ways you can go about it. You can use their style bricks. Remember, we were talking about this in an earlier video. I'll stick a link up there somewhere so you can click on it if you need to revisit it. Now, those style bricks are ways in which you can figure out what an artist does and how they use it and how they approach it, to then start to break down the first stages of the painting, the second stages of the painting, and so on. An artist who I admire but I haven't tackled as yet, so the learning is yet to be discovered, is Lowry. And he would paint everyday occurrences. He'd paint people in a simple, non-judgmental style and everyday landscapes. He usually focused on crowds, and he used crowds to create a sense of movement and action in his paintings. What I tend to do first of all is take a photograph of the image I want to study, and I'll do that on my iPad, and then I'll overwrite in the iPad on top of the image notes of what I can see. So I've scribbled on the image, making lots of notes, noting where it's translucent or there's thicker paint so it's more opaque. I've looked at how geometric the shapes are in the background, yet in the foreground the shapes are much softer and they've got a little bent figure on the go, and the figures are just dashes of paint. I can also spot how the colour red, it's quite a dark red, takes us through the painting all the way to the road curving off. And I can see how yellow is connected like a pattern in the painting as well. I can see the use of lines. They're thicker on the buildings and then thinner on the railings. The background feels and looks very translucent, very light and airy. So I've got some useful notes there that will help me just pay attention to what brings this painting together. So as I'm sketching this out, just making sure I've left enough space for everything, I'm noticing things. So I think you can take notes on a particular painting and understand a certain level of it, but when you actually physically and mentally do it, when you copy it, when you get the pencil, when you get the paint and you start to feel the shapes, that's another level of learning. And I'm learning by doing this. I can see the movement through the painting, through the buildings.
don't care if we come back again. And as long as the stars are shining above us, then I just wanna be where you are. I don't wanna close my eyes, then I might miss a moment of you. And as long as the sun shines upon us, and I just wanna be where you are. 'Cause with you I feel no fear, and when you hold me all my wounds are healed. When I'm with you I feel safe. There is no pretending, no need to escape. And I know I just wanna be where you are.
So there's my version of Lowry's Going to Work, and let me just talk you through what I experienced and what I picked up and learnt as I went through the process of copying. So to begin with, on this top third here, it's so see-through, so translucent. I was careful to pick translucent paints, and even then, putting the paint on, I would get a rag and take the paint away again. I felt like direction of brushstroke was super important, even on the buildings as well as the people. It showed a solid straight up and downness of the painting, or it showed an angle for something that was moving. The use of these bridging lines to bring the buildings together, because you may have noticed I blocked in the colours first of all before I went in and outlined, and I think that just unifies the shapes that we're looking at. So even though it's very simple, we understand that that's a house, that's a factory, and it's an industrial scene. The use of translucent colour overlaying one another was really interesting as well, where you've got the red over the yellow, the blues over the greens, and that continued again in the thicker, more opaque bits of paint down below. So I popped the black figures in first of all, but they didn't really start to feel like they were taking form or taking shape until another colour went on top of them, and it was a mix of greens, of reds, of greys, of browns, of yellow ochres. And what we've got is a nice transition from using a really see-through transparent yellow oxide to down here where there's mixes of yellow ochre which has white in it, so it's more opaque. And of course down here the figures are much thicker paint. I could even go in on top of that and make them thicker. I think the biggest lesson of all doing this was just the simplicity and the sense of fun, the freedom just to let go of the detail and give merely a suggestion. You don't have to give all of the information. So your challenge today is to copy Lowry. Have a look at some images on the internet, see which ones really catch your eye. There's lots of landscapes, people and portraits, industrial scenes and seascapes, so lots to choose from. But his simple brushwork and his use of bridging lines and his sense of movement, I think, is something that you'll really enjoy experiencing. Tag me in your finished painting so I can see how you're doing, and yeah, enjoy this one. Tomorrow we are stepping into the world of poetry with blackout art. It's super easy, super fun and really creative. Anyway, I shall see you tomorrow. Bye 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 bye.